I'm Claudia Puig. I'm the president of the Film Critics Association, and we're so lucky to have the director of this fascinating film, Lauren Greenfield, here.
Thank you.
I was just struck right now, even though I've seen the film before, I was struck by that quote from Motherwell that seemed to really capture who you are. And I was wondering if that was kind of the essence of the film for you.
Well, it was just a little bit of like Rosebud and Citizen Kane. I found that kind of at the end when I was looking through my yearbook, and Frank, my husband, who's here, the producer, would always say who you are is who you've always been. And that just seemed like that thing, that the obsession that I was kind of looking at in a way was always there.
Yeah, absolutely. So all your work, as you say, in the film has been circling this topic and looking at it and really examining it. And I loved how personal you took all this, and how was that difficult to kind of decide to open yourself up in that way?
It was definitely not something I was planning on in the beginning. I thought I would need to be in this film as kind of the connective tissue. I thought my journey would be part of it and that my voice might be in it. But I didn't expect to be physically in it in the beginning. And then I started wanting to go back to subjects and kind of as an experiment started to film myself in it. And the relationship that I have with the subjects has always been a really integral part of the work. And I just felt like I wanted to be a little bit more transparent about showing that, and also why I made the pictures that I made and what was going on in my life that allowed me to kind of relate to the people and empathize and also have kind of similar concerns. And then as I started interviewing my parents and my kids more as representatives of their generation, but as kind of personal issues bubbled to the surface, and as they resonated for me with things I had heard from Florian or Suzanne, I just felt like as it was relevant, I should be willing to make it a part of the story. Because part of my work and part of this film was also really about how we're all complicit. And so I didn't want you to kind of go to the movie and think, oh, it's just a greedy hedge fund banker or a porn star. Like, I felt like their stories spoke to how we're living, and I thought that bringing me in would kind of help aid that.
Absolutely, and it also keeps you from feeling that you're the outsider judging them. You're saying we're all, like you said, we're all complicit. We all have varying degrees of this sort of fascination with excess. I have to say, your sons are amazing. I was saying this to your husband. I thought that Noah and Gabriel really are so sensitive and aware, and it can't have been easy to have the camera turned on them, but they seem to they take to it.
They actually, I mean, for this, with these interviews, it's the first time I interviewed them, and I asked them, like, they didn't have to. But they were open to it, but I still didn't know how they would feel about the finished film. So
How do they feel?
they came to Sundance, they both liked it. Noah is kind of, you can see, my harshest critic, and he said to Frank afterwards, Mom's other films have been okay, but this one is really good.
That's good, you got the thumbs up from that critic. Well, he was saying how fascinated he was by it, and because it is so, the work is so massive and ambitious and complicated as well as intimate. I mean, that must have been pretty overwhelming to take on.
I think it was so overwhelming, both the project and making this film with this kind of complex structure, that was part of why my kind of workaholism also came to the fore. Because even just doing the project, going through over 500,000 pictures, and the connections that now seem really obvious to me, like the connection between generation wealth and capitalism and the commodification of the female body and the work I had done on gender, it wasn't obvious when I began. It was really a process of figuring out what the connections were. I kind of felt they were intuitively there, but it was really overwhelming, and but it was also really exciting because I wanted to connect the different characters, and wasn't sure if I could, and so it was really fun to kind of find those links.
The through line, yeah. How easy was it to actually get people that you had once talked to talk to them again, especially as their lives change? And I was thinking particularly of the porn star, different people.
Yeah.
Did you have to do a lot of convincing?
It depends on the people. Some people said yes right away. Some people, I was surprised, said yes right away. Like Florian, I'd actually never photographed before, but I just figured that somebody like that would immediately say no.
And you knew him from college?
I knew him from college. Frank knew him more, and he showed up in the New York Times as on the FBI's most wanted list with Osama bin Laden. And Frank's like, "Do you want to interview him for your project?" And I was like, "Sure, but why is he going to do that?" And he called him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. You borrowed my car for your student film." He was the only one who had like a convertible nice car when we were in college. And he said, "Sure, come over." And it was just a revelation, because it was when I interviewed him that I really felt there might be a film, because he was kind of a Gordon Gekko personified. And then when he broke down and started to cry, it was such a surprise. And each person kind of had, I think, a different Kathy took some convincing, because she was in such a hard place. She was homeless. She had lost her daughter. I felt like it was really important to see where she was, especially since it related to when I saw her last, and she had told me about her daughter cutting herself. And so I talked to her about what the film was about and why, and she eventually said yes. And then once I was there, she really opened up. And Dabney wanted to do it. I mean, Dabney was in a place where I think it was she was at that point thinking about getting out of porn, so it was a little bit aspirational to be in a documentary.
That makes sense, yeah. Your approach is a really personal one, and yet there is so much tied in here. And I was wondering about when you actually did this, because when you, obviously the quintessence of excess and conspicuous consumption is the man who's president. Was this made before he was elected?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those crazy things, a little bit like Queen of Versailles, where they just started like losing everything in the middle of it. I think it made the film much more urgent and relevant in a way. He was elected probably halfway through the edit, so it was kind of towards the end of the journey, but I was definitely thinking about it in the edit. And in so many ways, he was kind of the apotheosis of Generation Wealth, that between the kind of putting wealthy people on a pedestal, thinking they're kind of more worthy, to the fame piece, reality TV, real estate. It brought together so many ideas, even the penchant for gold and gold aesthetic.
Kind of TV guides you, the lives you see on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt like it was really important, but I also didn't want the film to become about him. I felt like other people will make that film, and what I could contribute was kind of showing the culture that made him possible. And so there's a rally towards the end of the film on his campaign where he says, "It's not about me, it's about you." And that's kind of where I wanted to leave the audience, that he's kind of a symptom of a diseased culture.
And that's where we saw the Queen of Versailles photos too.
Yes.
Yeah. She had dated him.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is it? I mean, you've done all this work that's related to this theme. What do you think it is, in addition to maybe where you grew up, and we've all grown up, or those of us who grew up in LA kind of feel this, but what is it specifically that keeps drawing you back to this topic?
That's a really good question. I mean, I tried to get a little bit into the psychology here in terms of when I was in high school. I went to a fancy school and kind of desired the things that my friends had that my parents didn't get me, but I also had their voice in the back of my head saying I shouldn't want those things, and examining that contradiction between kind of the values of peers and popular culture and the values of my parents. I think I kept coming back to it because that was how I started the early work. but I started to just see it kind of blow up in the culture, like what I saw in the 90s, which was then kind of LA, or at least more LA than other places, then spread around the country with brands and kind of national brands and television, and then spread around the world, like we see in China and Iceland. And the media, which was always a driver in the 90s, it was hip hop, and as a kind of driver of materialism across class, across race, across gender and age. But as then the media turned into reality TV and internet and social media, and the proliferation of images of wealth blew up. And so I started to kind of follow that story in different ways, mostly because I was interested in not the 1% for their own sake, but really about how these images affected everybody else. And at the same time, what was happening is we've never had so much inequality in this country, and never had so much concentration of wealth in the hands of the few since the Gilded Age. So I was really interested in that, and also this kind of development of the fake it till you make it kind of thing, like what Chris Hedges says, because there's no social mobility, it's almost like bling is a reaction to that, like a fictitious social mobility, or the only social mobility that feels within reach.
I was struck by the universality that you talked about, seeing China and Russia and Mexico, Latin America, that same desire for, no matter what your governmental structure is or your sociological climate is, it's just there. We have that. Were you surprised by that?
I was, and in a way, those brands are the way to kind of that help me track it, like the Birkin bag.
Right.
This ridiculously expensive bag starting at $10,000, going up to $300,000 one sold for last year. And hearing that as a reference from all different kinds of people who you would think would never know about such a kind of, extreme thing. So, and in Mexico, it was really interesting because it was a teacher who took her bonus and bought a Louis Vuitton bag. And she had a great story about it. She said when she first got it, she was so happy and so excited. And then she saw that wear off, which is the same thing that the therapist who focuses on kind of the problems of rich people said, that he actually takes people for interventions at fancy shopping malls so they can kind of surf the urge and see their happiness and then how it goes away. So yeah, I think it always has been surprising to me to especially see the sacrifice that middle class and working class people make for some of these luxury items. And plastic surgery is another example. Like, one of the things that I saw was luxuries feeling like necessities, and also a kind of trickle down of luxury, where I was like really shocked to find out that 75% of people who get plastic surgery make $50,000 or less.
Yeah, that was a shocking statistic.
That it's not for the rich anymore, and people are actually borrowing money, and sometimes borrowing money at these beauty banks that charge very high interest. So in a way, Kathy's story is extreme, but it also for me speaks to the sacrifice and kind of consequence of that investment that feels so necessary.
Right. You've been sort of brainwashed to feel it's so necessary. I thought it was a really interesting way you chose to end it, because it seems like it's kind of a hopeful note to go back to the Crossroads students who kind of are now adults and kind of talking about the importance of their families and much more uplifting kinds of messages. And yet there was kind of that cautionary note, the very final quote, which was, "Be careful what you wish for." Was it hard to find a way, because it is such depressing material, is it hard to find a way to end something like that?
I think especially after Trump was elected, I did not want to end with the apocalypse, and I started to kind of think about the insights that the subjects had, and started to be really moved by their kind of change and agency, and in a way the people who had had the hardest journeys and kind of been at the height of greed or the height of vanity or the height of that sacrifice, and then had a collapse, that they learned that wasn't what really mattered. And so I wanted to kind of end with these discoveries about what mattered. Not that we're definitely gonna be there, but at least knowing what matters allows us to make choices. And I also started to get really interested in parenting and the way values are passed on, and legacy versus agency. And it seemed like, in a way, the film started to become about all the things we're given, and the bad things and the good things, but then also what we choose to do with it, and the possibility of agency. And that's kind of what I wanted the film to leave you with.
Yeah, and it did. I love the legacy. Was it a poem or an essay kind of that your son wrote? That would seem very advanced for his age.
It's funny, it's that mix of both pain that he's saying that, and then also pride that he's written it. It's like that.
And he has the insight. Yeah, that must have been tough. I'm guessing that our audience also has questions. There's one right over there, yes.
First off,